it's a good idea, Nina, even if you think that it's everything's on, to always check it on the day before, on the Friday, because sometimes there are last minute cancellations or changes.
I will, thank you. But I did listen again to the discussion. It was very
Okay.
it was very interesting. As Mosa Lee mentioned, he used the word gold. I asked him how it was. He mentioned that it was golden as usual.
Sally started giving a good little introduction of the discussion here last time, and I said I appreciated his understanding of what we've been discussing, and Ajahn replied, "Not enough. There always has to be more and more understanding." Okay, I just check if Ajahn is here and then introduce Victor. Ajahn, are you here now?
Yes, สวัสดีค่ะ everyone.
Sawadika.
สวัสดีครับท่านอาจารย์สวัสดีครับ
Victor, Sawadika means good morning in Thai, so it's just a greeting that Ajahn uses. So I mentioned to you, Victor, when we met briefly, that Ajahn is the teacher for all of us, and we help a little. And just to mention to Ajahn and everyone here, we met Victor the other day in Manly. Victor lives very close to us in Sydney, and the reason we met Victor is because he had been to Vietnam and stayed in An Villa, and Tiny Tum had met him and just gave a very tiny summary about the Dhamma. She mentioned about impermanence and one or two things, and suggested that we should meet up in Manly as we live nearby. So this is Victor's first Zoom discussion, and he is very new to the Dhamma. So if we avoid using Pali terms, it will be helpful for him. So anything you would like to add, Victor, to introduce yourself or mention about your interest?
I'm very grateful that via Tam and then Sarah and John, I became aware of this discussion group. And I've been interested in Dhamma and Buddhism for a long time. So when we stayed in Antvilla, which is now, I think it was before COVID, so it must have been 6 or 7 years ago. We had various discussions with Tam and Thai in Hoi An. Very interesting, and so I think this is a wonderful opportunity that without the need to travel, I can be in touch with you all. So I may be primarily listening. I don't know how this goes, but we'll see what happens, and I'm happy to contribute when I can.
Right, and Sal at the bottom of my screen anyway, he's also from Vietnam in Nha Trang. So hi, Sal. So you just heard Victor introducing himself. And what is your main interest in Buddhism or the Dhamma, would you say, Victor?
I like the philosophy aspect of it, just the approach to life, and it seems to me that it can give a lot of inner peace and outer peace, and they are part of my core values. So I've been very much interested. I'm not a religious person in any religion per se, but I'm very philosophically interested, and whatever contact I've had with Buddhism so far has been very pleasurable, and on that inner outer peace level. So indeed, the concept of impermanence, the concepts of conditions and gratitude, the power of the mind is closely linked for me as well, in terms of interpreting and various ways of interpreting what's happening to us, what's happening around us. So yeah, it's I'm retired now, so I've got a bit more time, And that means I can choose to spend my time in the way I like. And this is part of it.
And then the big question is whether, in fact, anyone can actually choose anything, because conventionally we think I can choose to go left or right or come here or go there or hear this or hear that. But when we come back to life at this moment, the hearing now, the seeing now, the thinking now, can it
of
be
course.
chosen? So it's, as you know,
Yeah.
very deep. Yes. And I just
And
mentioned before. Yes, go on.
maybe one thing to add in terms of my background or where I'm coming from. Even though I live in Australia and I'm married to an Aussie, I'm actually not Australian originally. I've only been here 30 years. And the first 30 years of my life, I lived in the Netherlands. And that's where I'm from. So I'm Dutch originally. And as my friends tell me, you can take the Dutch out of the Netherlands, but you can't take the Netherlands out of the Dutch. So some of my contributions may sound more Dutch than Aussie.
And the great things about the Dutch is they all speak such excellent English. So that's
Yeah, with an
big
accent
help.
that gives away that we're Dutch.
And I just mentioned that Hung with a picture of San Francisco in the background. Hung is also one of the owners at Villa. So you may have even met her when you were there. But
Oh,
she
wow.
travels around a lot. So you
Wonderful
came in a
place.
few minutes late, Hung, but Victor met Tai and Tiny Tam and Villa, and that's how he comes to be here, how he comes to have met us. Okay, I just pass it to Ajahn, and I'm sure she will have plenty of questions she would like to ask you and comments to make.
So we are here to learn to understand the truth of each moment in life, because life is the reality which experiences an object. Otherwise, it cannot be life at all. For example, hardness cannot experience anything. Even it's there, it doesn't know what is there at all, no idea at all, just arise to be hard. So learning about the great wisdom, very great virtues of wisdom of the Buddha, the moment of enlighten the truth of whatever is there now, each moment, that after his enlightenment, he said, Dhamma. See, Dhamma, what is Dhamma? We haven't heard about it before. Buddha taught about it. Dhamma is so very deep, very subtle, but it can be learned. It can be realized because it's so true at any moment right now. So, what about the meaning of Dhamma? Whatever is real, do we say that it's real? It has its own characteristic appearing to be known that it's real. For example, seeing right now, it's real because there is seeing right now. But the ultimate truth of seeing, without conditions to arise, can it just arise anytime, anywhere? Impossible. So now we learn about the absolute truth, the ultimate truth of whatever is there. It cannot be taken for anything else at all. Seeing sees, that's true. No eye see, not anyone see, not a dog see, a cat see, a snake see. It's just a moment of that which is conditioned to arise, just to experience. That's why it's a reality which is there in life. Just arise to experience what is now appear. For example, without seeing, can there be visible object appearing right now? Impossible. But visible object is not seeing. So what is there now? Nobody can make it arise, and actually what is there seeing arises to see and then falls, never to arise again. Is this the ultimate truth of Dhamma, a reality which is there? Nobody can change its quality or its reality. its characteristic at all. Whenever it's there, arising, it says just arise to see, and then gone. Is this the moment in life after birth? That's why what is taken or what the truth of life is the reality which experiences the object by conditions, not at anyone's will. So we learn to understand what is there in a day, which is life. Moment of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking. Is that right? Just begin to understand what life is. And is it right or wrong to take the moment of seeing to be I see or someone see? When seeing, before seeing, there's no seeing, and then there's seeing, and then no seeing again. So what is the benefit of just arise to see and then gone, never to arise again, and no one at all? The seeing which has the reason fallen away cannot arise again. In samsara, no matter how long, and samsara is just what is there endlessly. Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, died and born, and see and hear again and again and again. Is that right? Just begin to consider, not just to believe instantly. Is that right? Are we talking about the truth of what is there right now as different realities, from moment of seeing to moment of thinking to moment of hearing, on and on and on. So very quickly arising and falling away, unknowingly. That is so very subtle. Who knows the nature of seeing? See, even they seeing right now, no understanding of the nature of seeing at all, without hearing about the nature, the truth, the ultimate truth of seeing. And at moment of seeing, only the moment of seeing, only one moment only, there cannot be other moment together. So the moment of seeing cannot be moment of hearing and moment of thinking at all. Is that true? Just learn to know what is true. So is seeing now true, real, gone, and what arises after seeing, what arises next to hearing, and so on. No understanding of the truth of anything which is there in a moment. How long? Uncountable moment. So now it's time to begin to study, to understand what is true and what is the absolute truth, the ultimate truth, the nature of it, which is so very deeply appearing, but no understanding of it. So begin to learn about what is there anytime. It's so true. It's there to be known. And that is whatever is real is Dhamma. So Dhamma is Dhamma. Seeing is seeing. Can it be I see what is true? That's all. Just learn to understand what is true now, better than not understanding the truth of each moment at all. Is that right? Not to follow, but to consider. Is there any understanding of seeing right now and that which is seen now? In truth, it does not appear as it is at all, because it has to appear to panya, right understanding of the truth, which can be developed from moment of hearing about the ultimate truth right now. This is the beginning to study Dhamma, to learn little by little what is Dhamma and where is Dhamma, Is it there now? And what is there as Dhamma? Not anyone or anything at all. Is that right? Begin to learn to know what's right and what's wrong, what is true and what is not true. Is it this moment now?
So, Victor, I don't know whether what Ajahn is saying is familiar to you at all, because I don't know quite how much you chatted to the other friends about. Usually, we think in terms of conventional situations, going to the temple, being peaceful, coming here, going there, choosing how life will play out. And as we discussed, this is conventional truth, but the ultimate truth just refers to the different realities, the different dharmas now. So the seeing now, which Ajahn is talking about, just lasts for a moment. So when we talk about impermanence, it's not the impermanence of the table and the computer and the body falling apart. It's the impermanence of this moment. So if there's no understanding of seeing now as a Dharma, a reality, not something that is in my control, then there cannot be the understanding of the deeper understanding of the impermanence of it. So that's why Ajahn was saying it has to be the beginning to understand what is Dharma now and to distinguish between the ultimate realities like seeing and hearing, the visible object that's seen, the sound that is heard, as opposed to conventional realities like people and things and situations. So when we talk about conditions, as you mentioned, it is the conditioned nature of these dharmas, of the seeing now, the thinking now, what is seen now, that is being referred to. So I don't know if this makes sense or is in line with your many years of studying the Dharma, or whether it is a little new to you.
Yeah.
Do you have any comments?
Yeah, well, it is new. For me, I must say, while I was listening, I'm still tuning into the voice and the accent. So I picked up bits and pieces rather than the full talking. But your summary or your comments afterwards, what they bring up for me is the notion of perspective and mindset, for that matter, perception. That whether we are conscious or not, but we choose to perceive something, and two people choose to perceive two different things. But in terms of the Dhamma, I'm very new and very much a novice, and not at all, experienced in reading or listening or living with it. So I'm a novice student.
So this is why we discuss and consider more about what life is at this moment. For example, you mentioned in your introduction about the power of the mind, but then we learn that what we take for being the mind or what we take for being the self is a conventional idea, because actually the mind changes at each moment. Seeing is a moment of consciousness, hearing is a moment of consciousness, thinking is a moment of consciousness, wise reflection, unwise reflection, just different moments of consciousness that change all the time. So there is no lasting mind, just as there is no self that can have a particular mindset or choose to perceive, because this moment of thinking, this moment of reflection, this moment of perception changes at each instant. By the time there is the idea, I will perceive in a particular way, or this is how I see life, it's gone. That moment of thinking is gone. So getting deeper and deeper into the understanding of the truth at this moment is actually understanding more about the truth the Buddha taught about how all dhammas, all realities are anatta, not self. No one here, no one there, no one to control, no one to choose, no one to see, no one to do anything. So the development of understanding of the truth is actually the letting go of the idea of I, which is such a big burden when there is the idea that I can control, I can choose, when in fact what arises now arises by conditions, as you mentioned before. And I think Jonathan wants to say something.
Just a short word to add, picking up on Victor's mention at the beginning of being interested in the philosophy of the Buddhism. And indeed, if Buddhism is not actually a religion, and nor is it a philosophy, what it claims to be is a description of life as it truly is at the present moment. So the Buddha's enlightenment was a breakthrough of seeing this moment, the reality of the present moment as it actually is. And what he taught is the understanding that had been gained by that. So everything that's been said so far is not being presented as something to be believed, but as a statement of what has been taught by the Buddha as being the reality of the present moment. It's not someone's idea about how things can be envisaged or understood, or it's not an approach to life, but as I said, a description of the reality. So much of what we have heard, though, cannot be necessarily validated or appreciated right away. Sarah has pointed out that one of the aspects of the teaching is that there's no I, no self, that there are just conditioned realities. But this, of course, is not something that can be recognized or validated right off. But I just hasten to add that nor is it something that we are being asked to believe, because the study of Buddhism does not depend on accepting anything on belief because of anyone's say-so, but of considering what has been said and seeing whether it's consistent or not with our experience in life. So it's a very slow and gradual consideration of things, but it is coming to a better understanding of life at this moment, slowly. Thanks.
Thank you.
We hear the teachings and because we think we know a little bit already. We think we know how things are. So I think the first step is about unlearning what we think we have learned already. Is the the assumption of understanding anything which we think is real, because actually everything which we think is real is not real in terms of Paramattha Dhamma. So we sort of are in an unknown territory when we hear about the reality. That's why we need to hear about it, as I say, to unlearn little by little what we think we learn already, which is not easy at all because of the natural accumulations of ignorance and wrong understanding, like taking everything, anytime, even right now, for something, for people, for things, for situation, for like a Zoom discussion, and it's a challenging. It's challenging.
Alberto, can you also explain what you mean by Paramattha Dhammas? Because Victor won't be familiar with these Pali terms. If anyone uses any Pali terms, please explain. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. No Pali terms. No need for Pali terms at all because of the because in truth the reality, which we call it in Pali, it does not need for any word. It only needs to be listen about it by any word.
Just to mention, you were referring to ultimate realities as distinguished from conventional realities, as we discussed before. So the seeing, the hearing are the ultimate realities, whereas the computer and the pen are just what we take for being the realities. So I think that was your point.
Yeah, basically, that was it. It's yeah, maybe for a beginner, it's hearing the. It's not easy to even think about the truth of this moment because of being so accustomed to the situation of the moment of the thinking about the seeing, the hearing, all the object which appears through the sense doors, which immediately are mistaken for people and things. And even right now, like in truth, we no matter what we say, anatta or anicca, into is atta and nicca. It appears as not as atta and nicca, and
Not as permanent. Nietzsche means permanent.
thank
We
you.
so quickly slip into Pali terms, so and Nietzsche means impermanence, Nietzsche permanence. So
Yeah, that's
and
right. Nietzsche.
and on the term about beginners, because Victor said he'd actually been studying or considering the Buddha's teachings for a long time, and some of us may say the same, but actually it's for everyone. They're so quickly living in the world of the idea of I, the idea of lastingness. So there has to be the beginning again and again. So that always has to be the beginning. It doesn't matter how long anyone has studied or not. The seeing now is not the seeing yesterday. The hearing now is not the hearing a moment ago. So there has to be the development of understanding on, beginning again and again. Otherwise, it's so easy to think, oh, that one is a beginner and this one is the experienced one. But it's not like that, because there is no one. So the beginning is always now, again and again and again.
And even when we talk about seeing and hearing as realities, we perhaps overlook the fact that there are that they are not necessarily the absolute or ultimate reality, because we tend to take in each case there is the experiencing, that is the seeing or the hearing, and the object of that experiencing, which is, say, visible object or sound. And we come to appreciate that it is the understanding of the absolute realities. In other words, what is real and is not further divisible. It can't be split into component parts. A conventional idea of seeing incorporates both the experiencing and the object. The same with hearing, but the reality is that they are separate dhammas, separate realities, and each of which can be known for what it is. So, for example, in the case of hearing and sound, at the moment of hearing consciousness experiencing sound, it is just sound. There's no speaker in the sound. There's no meaning in the sound at that moment. It is just the experiencing of mere sound, and it is followed by thinking about the sound that has been experienced, processing, if you like, that gives the idea of a language, words, meaning, identity of the source of the sound, and all that sort of thing. And so we come to appreciate that the present moment is made up of many different realities, all of which we are told are of momentary existence only.
Any comments, Victor?
No, I'm listening with interest, and I notice that I'm interested. So I'm not. My attention is not fading, which for me means it's good news.
And I'll just mention one other point which you brought up in your introduction, actually, the very first point, just for consideration. And again, I'm sure Ajahn will be happy to add more. You mentioned that one of the appealing points about the study of Buddhism was the inner and outer peace. And everyone is interested in peace. But the big question is, what is peace? Because again, usually we think of a conventional situation. We think, oh, when we're not fighting and we're walking along the beach and in the surf at Manly, that there is peace. There's no anger and there's no disturbance, and one doesn't feel troubled. That this is a conventional idea about peace. What about at this moment? What is truly peace at this moment? For example, when there is attachment now, unpleasant feeling, and one's enjoying the sunshine that we have in Sydney today, it seems peaceful, no disturbance at all, not even by the rain. But this is actually just the pleasant feeling and the attachment to the sunshine and so on. So a lot of what we consider to be peace is actually pleasant feeling and attachment, and not the peace that develops with understanding of life at this very moment. So it's quite a deep topic too. Every topic is deep. So this is just one point. For you, what would you consider to be peace?
Yeah, it's an interesting question indeed that we can probably talk about for a very long time. But one aspect of peace, well, inner peace primarily, for me is rest. So if there's, and rest as in rest in the body. So it means feeling content with the situation, accepting the surroundings or the environment or the conditions or it's low blood pressure, low heartbeat. But then sometimes that's not true at all. Let's say when I'm swimming or when I'm cycling, my heart rate may be rising, but I'm still very much in peace. So yeah, I don't have a clear-cut answer as to what does peace mean to me, but I find it an interesting thing, to think about. Like, what is it actually, and to debate it for that matter. And one aspect for me also, and I think some of you referred to that. I think John mentioned about not having to believe anything that everybody else says. And I'm very much in favor of that too, where truth or definitions or reality is personal. And it's very much okay to have various realities and various truths happen at the same time about the same overall situation. There's no need to convince each other or to agree, for that matter. So to just, listen and do what everybody else has to say or does, and to note whether that has any effect on our own thoughts or realities, either immediate or maybe on reflection only. And all of that is part of peace for me, rather than being challenged by anybody else's reality. To me, it's always meaningful if somebody else's opinion or somebody else's reality challenges me. That's input for thought as to why would it challenge? Why can I not just accept that that's that person's reality? So to be aware of our bodily responses, our physiological responses, my physiological response to anything that happens, and to understand it better, and to then become more peaceful about it. Accepting everything that is. It's all part of peace for me, if that makes any sense.
And what would you say is the goal of that peacefulness? If it's something to be developed, to be wished for, what would be the goal?
I'm not sure there is a goal. I'm not sure that I need a goal. No, not so much. It's just
The
from one
purpose
moment.
is just to be more at peace in life as you go through life.
Yeah, and to get a deeper understanding as to what peace actually means. And
And
that's not seeking the ultimate truth, but what it actually
right,
means may change, right,
yeah.
over time. So there's not an ultimate answer.
Can there be an ultimate truth?
For me, not. For me, that would be boring.
But that doesn't answer the question of can there be an ultimate truth or ultimate truths about this life?
Yeah, well, my answer still is for me, not. And whether that's true for anyone else, I don't really care. You know, it's for me that what I referred to earlier, the fact that there's personal truth for everyone, and whether something exists or doesn't exist, or for someone, is what counts. And then, especially in one-on-one conversations, I find it interesting to elicit somebody else's truth or perspective or paradigm or view.
Can we
And
say that if there is birth, there must be death as an example of an ultimate truth?
I'm not sure whether it's an example, but whenever you say something, I interpret it as, okay, that's what it's like for you, which is, and I'm more than happy to learn what is alive for you, or what is truth for you, what exists for you. What I do not subscribe to is that, it's a generic, anyone can talk in generic statements. So anyone can talk, including me and you, can talk about, I find blah de blah, rather than it is. It is somehow seems to hypothesize that it is true for more than one person. And that's always a question in the way I view life.
But are you saying it's not possible that there are truths that apply generally, or just that you're not interested if there are?
Yeah, more the second. I'm not seeking them.
Mm.
I'm not seeking ultimate truth. I'm more accepting that what may seem true to me now may not seem true to me in 5 seconds or
Right.
the next.
So what, in the case of, say, the Buddha, who was alive, we are told, 2,500 years ago, would it be possible for something that was apparent to him at that time apply today also, or do you feel that there's no such thing as a universal or timeless truth about life?
Oh, I think anything that happened 2,500 years ago can apply to someone today.
Mm-hmm.
And someone may experience something that was true for someone else 2,500 years ago as being true for them in the moment, and maybe not for the neighbor or the brother or anyone else for that matter, and that's okay.
But can we also say that experience, as we know it, that is pleasant and unpleasant feeling, like and dislike, anger and regret, that these are examples of actual moments of consciousness that common to everyone?
I don't believe that there's anything common to everyone.
Happiness, happy feeling, pleasant feeling?
Yeah, well, I mean, I like to always be open to meeting a person that says that's not true for me, rather than having a predetermined mind to say this is true for everyone, including you, who I don't know.
Right. But at the moment, it's like and dislike must surely be common to everyone. Can you think of any reason why it wouldn't be? I'm not trying to pin you down, but I'm just trying to open the possibility of some truth that is not just personal.
Yeah, so I'm accepting that that's true for you. If you want to live in that consciousness, then I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Sarah wants to say something, I think. I'll let her speak.
Sarah's muted.
I was just saying Ajahn may like to add some comments now as well.
Is this a moment? A moment without understanding what a moment is, how can we answer? Is there now a moment? See, what did Buddha say about each moment? What is there in a moment? So it's a moment of what? What is there in a moment? Now it's a moment of seeing, is it right? Begin to understand what we are talking about the ultimate truth, which does not appear yet, because whatever is there appearing, it's taken for self or something or I, people and things all the time. But it's gone each moment. Each moment cannot stay. It cannot last at all. The moment of seeing right now is not the moment of hearing at all. Different moments. As long as seeing sees, there cannot be anything else in a moment. So it's just a moment of what is there arising and falling away, unknown. Because seeing cannot last at all. At moment of hearing, there cannot be seeing. So learn to understand the words of the enlightened one. Just talk about whatever is there in each moment in life to be known as Dhamma. It's real, but it's real only when it's there and it's gone. As soon as it has a reason, for example, right now, there is seeing and there is hearing and there is thinking. They seem that they are together now, but in truth, just a moment. It's a split second moment of a moment. So very short, the arising and falling away continue on and on and on and on, endlessly from birth up to now and to death and on again, new life, non-stop, like a moment of seeing gone, a moment of hearing follow instantly. But in truth, it's not instant at all. But the Buddha taught about the truth that can be understood right now, that seeing is a moment of seeing, and hearing is not the moment of seeing, never be the same. So hearing is another moment. When seeing not there, nothing is there, only hearing and sound at moment of hearing. So each moment is there. No one make it arise at all. Because now while we are talking, they're seeing, So no one can make anything arise. But whatever arises depends on its proper conditions for its arising. For example, there must be the eye base and the ear base, nose base, tongue base, body base for those reality which can impinge on it. This is Dhamma, all are Dhammas. No one can make anything arise and no one can change anything. But it depends on understanding the truth or no understanding of what is there now at all. That's why who's the Buddha, the enlightened one, and his words after his enlightenment is all Dhammas are so very subtle, but they can be studied, they can be realized, but stage by stage. So now we are on the stage of just hearing maybe new words because no one thought about it before and no one can think about it at all without hearing the word reality. See, who knows what it is? What is a reality right now? What is real now appearing is true. No one can stop its rising and its appearing and then it's gone unknowingly. Unknowingly, if seeing does not arise at all, can there be moment of seeing, which is not moment of other reality, thinking, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking? That's why learn to understand the truth, the ultimate truth of that which now appears, and at the moment what appears can be studied. But that which does not appear, can it be known? Even it's there. For example, we learn about this moment, how it be this moment, because it's the experiencing what is what is appearing now. For example, there is seeing. Who thought about it? Seeing sees what? Only that reality, only one reality, which can impinge on the eye, or we say the eye base, and other condition the moment of seeing arises just to see. So seeing is just a reality which arises to experience what is seen. It cannot experience sound or smell at all. Is that true? Before its arising, there's no seeing. After it arises and sees, it's gone instantly. Who knows? And the ultimate truth is realized by the enlightened one. So he thought about the ultimate truth of each moment as no one at all. But what is real has its own characteristics to be known. So it's a Dhamma. What is real, feeling, memory, liking, disliking, they are real. So they are Dhamma. Each one is different. Attachment is not aversion, see, different ones. So life is the arising and falling away by conditions from the moment of birth to death and continue on because moment of birth is just one moment of death is just one moment of seeing is only one moment of hearing is just one moment, all other in a moment, different moments at a time, never be same together in a moment. Is that true? Is this life from birth to the end? But before death there must be seeing right now, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, not at will, but when it's there, by conditions, it appears as it, not as it is. For example, now, what is seen? A picture, a window, a flower, see? But in truth, if they do not impinge on the ibex only one at a time, how can it appear together as shape and form to be taken for table and chairs, for example? That's why this is life or not. It's everyday life, but no understanding of the ultimate truth of each moment. What is there? Now, see, learn to understand the moment of seeing. It sees now. So it's conditioned to arise to see and gone. It cannot be taken for anything, for anyone, because it's gone, never to arise again in samsara. A seeing moment ago is not seeing right now. It's not seeing tomorrow. And what about seeing yesterday? Where is it? Can anyone find? Never to arise again. Impossible to arise to see again the same one. But the new one is conditioned to experience different objects. See? And there is not only seeing, there is liking or disliking different realities in a day. That's why what has arisen and fallen away, never to arise again. So many, many different kinds, but all of them can be classified as it's different. For example, seeing is not liking, it's not disliking, it's not memory, it is feeling. So it's not just to believe, but is it now feeling when it's not pleasant or unpleasant? It's hard to know, but it's there in different feeling. Because whatever is there appearing, it conditions seeing. Even the moment of seeing, there must be feeling towards the object which is seen by conditions. That's why we learn about each word of truth, about whatever is there, from birth to death, no matter in what plane of existence. Dog, cat, snake, people, all are dhammas, without shape and form, just seeing. Is it a fish or a cat or monkey? Not at all. Seeing is only seeing. The reality of seeing is that it is a reality which experiences only that which is seen. So Buddha used different words for different reality, but he thought about see the reality which arises to experience the object. Seeing arises to see, hearing arises to hear. So there is a reality which is the chief of experiencing an object. Why do we use the word chief of experiencing an object? Because there are other reality, mental reality, which arises and experiences the object, but not as the chief, because it has its own nature, its own characteristic that cannot be known. For example, feeling like now, at moment of seeing, what is seen? Even there's feeling and memory, different realities arising together, but the one is the chief of experiences, the characteristic of the object only. But the other, like Chit Sanya, you have learned about that, memory, is there too. As soon as Chitta experiences object, Sanya, and the other Cetasikas, the mentality arising together, perform each one's function. Seeing cannot feel, seeing cannot like. It just arises to see and then gone. Because what arises has to be conditioned by not only one condition. Who knows? Without learning about the truth of each moment, what is there and what is that is the object, what is there appears, and what are that do not appear, but they are there. Is that true? For example, can there be feeling without experiencing an object, but it feels toward that object at the moment, while a reality which is the chief of experiencing is only there, only one, just arise to experience clearly the object as the chief of experiencing the object. And that word would use the term citta or vijnana or mano or mana or maninsi and so on. Different moments, different quality, but the characteristic of that cannot be changed. It just arises to experience the object. See, never change. It just experience the object clearly, never change. And the other reality, feel, because it experiences the same object, they arise together, but they are not the chief of experiencing. So Buddha used the word cetasika, mental factor. It experiences the object in its own characteristic, in its own way. It likes. No matter whatever, whenever, it arises to just like or dislike, pleasant feel or unpleasant, bodily pain or mental pain. All adhamas in a day unknown about Dhamma, but take the shape and form and the sound and whatever is there, not understanding, no understanding that it's just there and then gone instantly, so very quickly, rapidly. That's why the arising and falling away cannot be known. Because there is ignorance of the truth. But it can be realized the moment when it's there, arising and falling away, by way of nimitta of that quality or that Dhamma only. Just learn to understand from the very beginning what is meant by the world. If nothing arises at all, can there be any world? Can it be the sun, the moon, the star, and so on? When no reality experiences it, it cannot be known at all. That's why learn to understand. Life is moment, it's real, whatever is real, it's a Dhamma, different ones. And the one which is the chief of experiencing is Citta. It experiences the object so clear that it can be known as whether it's fake diamond or the real diamond, whatever is there. Very, very slight more reality, but it's there so slight as it is. So Citta, the reality, which is the chief of experiences, is now sees. But remember what is there. Seeing is not Citta. Feeling pleasant or unpleasant about that to that which is seen is not Citta. Different realities enlightened by who? The enlightened one. Samma Sambuddho. Each word is so very deep, very subtle, because it just represents the reality which is there. Without word, how can we know what we are talking about? What is citta and what is cetasika and what is Dhamma and what is anatta? Not anyone, not anything at all. It's just a reality. It has its own characteristic, its own function. Whenever it arises, it cannot perform the other's function, but it has to perform only its function because it's a reality. Nobody can change its characteristic, its nature, or its function at all. So now, seeing clearly what is seen, and when they are together, because one moment's gone, but the object, different ones, so very quickly appear just like a dot, a dot, a dot. Can condition a bird or a cat, just one dot, cannot condition any idea at all. So we learn to understand Dhamma, the truth, the ultimate truth of what is there in life. No body, no snake, no sun, no nothing, only realities which can experience the object and the reality which cannot experience the object. That's why we begin from the word Dhamma, the ultimate truth, not anyone, not any shape, not any word, sound, and thinking. So we learn to understand the truth of life, the ultimate truth. It's not permanent from the very first moment, on and on, or Dhammas, not permanent. Whatever arises falls away. So all Dhammas are anatta, all Sankhara Dhamma, anicca, dukkha, anatta. This is the beginning to understand what is the ultimate truth of life, of this moment, any moment, no one at all. Beginning to understand what is meant by Dhamma, whatever is real, nobody can change. Seeing now is real. Can anyone stop it or condition or make it arise? Impossible. So it's there already. Is that right? By conditions. Now, seeing is there by conditions. Seeing is there because it has a reason. No one makes it arise at all. So understand what is there. In truth, it's there already by condition. If you try to do something to experience it, to realize the truth, it's wrong because no understanding of what is there now. A reason by condition. And gone, unknown. Is this the word of the Buddha, the enlightened one, who realized the truth, the ultimate truth, beyond anyone in the world, no matter what world, what universes, heaven or hell or Brahma world, all kinds of truth can be known by considering whether it's true or not. And if someone says that seeing is permanent, can you believe? At moment of hearing, while seeing, not there. But when it seems like they are together, it's because of the rapidity of the arising and falling away. Now and on and on. That's why the truth is hidden. Ignorance is there. Attachment is there. Other realities are there. In a moment to another moment, different ones, never be the same at all. Is it true? Is this
And
Dhamma? Yes, please.
just to relate, sorry again, and just to relate this all to some of your comments, Victor, because there is so much that is new. So as Ajahn has been explaining, there are just those realities, those dhammas which experience an object, and those dhammas which don't experience anything. So the moments of consciousness that we were talking about before, seeing, hearing, thinking, experience an object, and they are called citta in Pali. So seeing experiences what is visible, but it has to be accompanied by mental factors. For example, you mentioned perception, and Ajahn mentioned memory. This is one mental factor that accompanies the seeing, and every other citta, every other moment of consciousness. Feeling, pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, neutral feeling. A feeling accompanies each moment of consciousness. Kindness, meanness, happiness, sadness. These are all mental factors that accompany different citas, different moments of consciousness. And then there are those realities which don't experience anything. The sound doesn't experience anything. What is seen doesn't experience anything. And the reason this is important is that usually we think about the monkey, the cat, the person experiencing the object. But as we've been stressing, and which you agree, actually, in truth, there is no cat or person or monkey. There are just the citas, the moments of consciousness, and the mental factors experiencing the object. So we think about my truth or personal truth, but where is me? Where is this person at a moment of understanding or wise reflecting? It's the understanding which understands the truth. It's the wise reflection that reflects on it. When there is a different idea, it's because there are different kinds of thinking and different mental factors accompanying it. So usually we think about my personal life and my experiences, but this is just an idea. And then when we talk about peace, and like you said, we think about peace of mind and peace of body, but the peace is actually a mental factor. So at moments of kindness, there is peace at that moment. At moments of understanding and acceptance, which you mentioned, accepting how life is, what is conditioned now, there is peace at that moment. The body may have all kinds of torment. One may be in hospital with lots of problems and high and low blood pressure. The physical phenomena that we take for our body are just those physical phenomena which don't experience anything. So the peace is a mental state that doesn't arise when there is attachment, because there's restlessness and disturbance at those moments. It doesn't arise when there is any kind of aversion, because there's not liking, not accepting the situation. It doesn't arise when there is ignorance. It just arises with wholesome kinds of consciousness. And it's just for a moment. And like you said, it's not a matter of believing, but understanding can begin to understand that now, at a moment of seeing, it's just seeing that arises by conditions and sees and is gone. So how can the seeing be personal? We may say, oh, well, my seeing is different from another's seeing, but it still just has the characteristic of seeing. And it's different at each moment. So if the seeing of green is my seeing, what about the seeing of red at another moment? Just different moments of seeing which see different visible objects, different moments of hearing which hear different sounds. So gradually we learn about these different mental and physical phenomena, those which experience an object, those that don't. And the point of discussing more about this moment and seeing now, hearing now, is just to consider whether it's true that there really is no person, no personal belief, no personal consciousness, because there are just these different fleeting dhammas that arise and fall away. And the rest or the peace is just for a moment and then gone. So useless to cling to it because it's gone already. Even now when we're having Dhamma discussion, different moments of wise considering with peace and contentment, and moments of boredom or feeling too warm, too cold, moments of irritation, moments of attachment. Whatever arises is for a moment and then gone, but without understanding what these different realities are, everything gets mixed up. We think, oh, I accept the surroundings, I accept the situation, but it's not actually the acceptance with understanding of just what is conditioned at this moment for a moment only. So from our understanding, to put it that way, what the Buddha taught is about the truth of life 2,500 years ago, just the same today, seeing, hearing, thinking, no matter in the temple or the forest or in the city, just different mental and physical phenomena to be understood. And what is true is true, to be not to be believed, but to be directly understood. Like, is it true that at the moment of touching the computer or the table, hardness is experienced? It can be proved to be true that there is hardness touched, or warmth, or coldness. So these are realities that can be proved to be true. But if someone says it is a computer that is touched, it can be proved that that is just thinking, because what is touched is only hardness or warmth at this moment. So I don't know if you have any further comments on any of these points, Victor. Many points to consider because it's all so deep.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to reflect on all of this, I think. And as I said before, not with the purpose of coming to an ultimate truth, but just coming to an evolving understanding. And
Just
not
for
necessarily.
consideration, yes.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I find anyone I meet, and especially groups, I'm very grateful I had the opportunity to to be your guest today as a group, and be exposed to this thinking and experiencing a moment or the world. While you were giving the summary, Sarah, I was also thinking about when you talked about the hardness of a subject or an object that you touch. That brought to me back the discussion about how over the last couple of 100 years only, science has given us, in a way, a very limited perspective of life, of reality. In terms of coming up with scientific truth as being the ultimate, as being not to be discussed anymore because it's been scientifically proven. And I believe for myself that it's always helpful to realize that science is only part of our experience. Whatever is scientific is only part of our experience. And then there's a dimension beyond science, where science doesn't, like consciousness, where science doesn't have much to say yet, and maybe it comes. But so to hear whether something is scientific or otherwise just somebody's opinion, to hear it, to take it on board, to reflect on it, to live with it, and for me, it always helps to be open to any change at any time, any moment in time. And so in a way, it's what I've been hearing today, in line with, it seemed to be truth in a moment just gone, but that moment is gone. And, changing our mind on anything in that sense is an example of learning. So that touches on the concept of reality, and the concept of consistency of reality, where to be consistent is a virtue for some people, uh, can also be interpreted as no opening for learning. And there's all these variations that I always find interesting to reflect upon and live with, and that we can agree on, whether seeing, hearing, any of the senses, or if I interpret it correctly, the Pali term was the chitta. We can talk about that as an experience in the moment, or we can talk about it as a concept. And we can agree that for a lot of people, there is the concept of seeing, whereas the content of seeing can be very much different for every person. So to realize when we talk about something, whether we talk about a concept or whether we talk about the content or the reality, is valuable, I think, when we're listening to other people. It's very easy to come into a discussion when people try to convince each other. I like the notion of curiosity, where we delve deeper into understanding someone who says something that surprises us or that we don't really understand, rather than trying to get into an argument. And maybe because of our own struggles or our own weakness, we feel better if we have convinced somebody else and hear them say that they agree with us. And of course, we see a lot of that in politics, in economics, in any sort of public discussion where people may feel the need for other people to agree with them. I very much enjoyed today's listening, and I'm not sure whether me talking is adding much to the discussion, but as I said earlier, I see myself as a novice student. And
Well,
I very much
we've appreciated your contributions very much, Victor. So please keep joining us anytime you're free. So it's like this discussion today is helpful for everyone. And as you said, everyone can say they're seeing and hearing, but usually it's always the idea of my seeing, my hearing, I see, I hear. So to understand seeing or hearing as a Dhamma is not the conventional understanding of I see, I hear. So I think all your comments and points are very interesting and helpful for us all and for the discussion. And just because we just have a few minutes only, I just want to ask if anyone else has anything they would like to bring up or ask Ajahn before we finish or make a comment on. Azita looks like she's ready to speak. Azita lives in Queensland, Victor. Go ahead, Azita.
Hello, Victor. I've very much enjoyed your discussion. I think your points have been fantastic, and it would be wonderful to have you back again and again. I think the point of realities, and I'd like to emphasize that these realities that Achan and Sarah have been and John have been discussing arise and fall unbelievably quickly. So I think it takes a long, long time to even, intellectually understand just how quickly these realities arise and fall. But I think I've been studying for about 50 years. I've known these people, and I just feel like I'm a raw beginner still. But hopefully you'll come back again, Victor. Enjoyed the discussion very much. So thank you. And I'll let Achan take over.
Thanks, Azita. And Anne may like to make one or two comments too. Anne is in Canada and has also been with us a long time. Do you want to add anything, Anne? Would you like to add anything more before we finish? We've got a few minutes left.
Is there anything you disagree?
Okay, this is a question to you, Victor. Is there anything you disagree with that you've heard?
No, I'm not a person to disagree very much with anyone, quite frankly. I just hear people's viewpoints or realities and accept them as their truth. So it doesn't even enter my mind as to, is that true for me as well or not? Like, as another way of saying agreeing or disagreeing. That's more reflection material for me.
We just learn to understand the truth of what is there in life. So we are talking about seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, liking. We are talking about this in order to understand the truth of them deeper and more subtle. That in truth, no one can condition anything to arise at all, because actually all are dhammas. So what about the understanding of Dhamma? It's real, it's there, beyond anyone's control, because actually there's no one at all. They're seeing right now, is it real? Instead of just saying it's real, that is real, that is real. The word for whatever is real is Dhamma, the teaching of the enlightened one. After his enlightenment is understanding not just by thinking, considering, but at moment of realizing the truth of what he said, each word. Seeing is not permanent. If he didn't realize this, how could he say anything about seeing? It's not permanent, it's gone. So it cannot be anyone or anything at all. Just seeing. And that which is seen now cannot be taken for anything because it just appears only when it's there in pinch on the eye base. Very, very short, very, very quickly, very, very subtle and gone. So no one knows. But the enlightenment, the moment of enlightenment, each reality as it is, not as it appears as something and someone by the rapidity of the split second moment's object. Is that right? Is the feeling like now? Does it appear at moment of seeing? So the truth of seeing is there, can be studied, not just believed by any word or by anyone, but it's there, it's real. Did Buddha say anything about it in the book? What he taught about seeing, hearing, whatever is real in life without his words, how can there be that letting go, the ignorance, not understanding the truth, that what is now appearing arises and falls away very quickly, very subtly, because no one knows. Seeing is not hearing, no understanding of seeing as just a reality which arises and experiences what is seen, and hearing cannot be seeing. It's there by condition. The sound impinges on the rupa, the ear, the special rupa, which the sound can impinge on it, and without the ear can there be hearing. So each moment is conditioned, not at anyone's will at all. And the truth is that the understanding, the real one, the keen one, very sharp one, is the moment of understanding what is there already. Because everything now appearing is there already by condition. Can anyone make it arise before it arises? Impossible. Is it true? It's not the other's idea of business, it's one's own understanding. We cannot borrow the understanding from the other, and Buddha didn't give anyone his own understanding, but the way to understand the truth is the way that he had developed before becoming enlightened. How long? So if there's no understanding of seeing right now, what can be understood? when it's not there yet, when it does not appear, can there be any understanding of the nature of that which is now appearing? Just consider by one's own considering what is right and what is wrong. Seeing is permanent, right or wrong. Hearing is permanent, right or wrong. Feeling is permanent, right or wrong. It has to be one's own considering, not the others, to tell the others. But Buddha just taught about the truth for everyone to consider, not just listening, no considering at all. Who can make things arise now? It's there already. So what is that? It's there already. Beyond anyone can think not to have it or not to have it. Is that right? Or what is wrong? No one. Right understanding is real. It's a Dhamma, Samadhi. Otherwise, what is Samadhi? What is the meaning? What is the truth of what Buddha said? Each word. Is it true? Nobody can help the other. It has to be one's own considering to be true or not. So it's time now. I appreciate all everyone's understanding. สวัสดีค่ะ
Sawadee Jan.
Sawadee
Thank
ka.
you.